When working in Financial Edge NXT, we have built out the expense management area of the solution as a place not only dedicated to finance, but also an area that your entire staff can utilize to manage things like reimbursement requests, expense reports, and even be able to manage credit cards too. For all of these functions, we have a robust approval workflow. So whether you're someone who's submitting reimbursement requests or whether you're someone who's approving those, this expense management area of the solution is going to be your one-stop shop. With that in mind, you'll notice how easy it is to get here. Financial Edge NXT itself is a cloud-based solution, and what's nice is that you don't have to download any special apps to get here. It's just a website, and if you look up at the top, you'll notice it's just the one spot on the system. What's handy is since Financial Edge is cloud-based, you don't have to worry about what device you're accessing this on. If you prefer to work on a tablet versus a laptop, or even if you prefer to work from your cell phone, you're going to be able to access this information from, again, really any device as long as you've got that internet connection. That's also important when we think about grabbing snapshots of something like receipts. I can easily take a picture on my cell phone and either code it right from that same phone or be able to then upload it via my computer. Now, also looking at this overall portal here, the first thing I want to highlight are these user settings. Now, each individual will have their own settings, and there's some nice options found within them, including how often we're notified if something is approved or if something's waiting for my approval. I like to give the example, well, maybe I want to be notified instantly when something has been approved. If I'm someone who's an approver, maybe I don't want to be receiving 30 of these different emails every day. So I can come in here and I can change this instant to instead notify me once a day or once a week instead. This can also be updated at any point. So if you wanted to try a certain setting and then change it later, it's super easy to just come in here and make those editing changes. Keep in mind, we also want y'all to be able to go on vacation, so we do have some out-of-office forwarding built directly into the solution as well. What's handy here is that this is also something that you can turn on, but also finance can turn on for you later too. Let's say I'm leaving for a vacation tonight and I didn't get a chance to turn on my out of office forwarding. Again, on that back end side, finance is going to be able to update it for me. That way, anything waiting for my approval will make sure that it's routed to somebody to take over for that in my absence. Now, thinking about this perspective from the end user, I really want to walk you through how easy it is to both submit something as well as approve something. So let's say that I went shopping today. I went to Michael's craft store and I need to be able to submit that purchase for reimbursement. Well, here I can fill in some quick, easy details telling finance and the approver where I went. And if you look over on the right-hand side, I do have some easy one-click copy options if I'm making some similar purchases from time to time. Let's say though, this time was a little different, so I'll fill in my purchase date, and then I can list my description of what I actually bought this for, again, keeping both the approver and the finance team in the loop. So I'm going to say that I went and I purchased some supplies for my performance of Clue. Next, I'm able to determine who's going to actually approve this request. And that's where we have some really flexible approval rules built into Financial Edge. What's nice here is you're really not going to have to worry too much about where this is directed or how many folks have to approve. That's all going to be something that's tied in on the back end side. All I have to do is select that I want this to go to the costumes department, and if I look, I can see that in this case it's going to actually be approved by 3 different set of eyes. Do note that these approval rules can actually update based on dollar threshold. And what I mean by that is, let's say that I go to Michael's and I spend $100. Well, maybe just one person needs to approve. Well, let's say next time I go to Michael's, I spend $500. Maybe we need a few other folks to approve in that case. You don't have to worry about changing any of that on your side here. Keep in mind, again, all that functionality will happen on the back end. Also thinking about some nice easy options for us as well is also where we can pick one of these expense categories. Finance needs to know where this money's coming from, where I went to Michael's. And so rather than having to worry about any tricky or excuse me, general ledger coding, what I can do is look at these expense categories that finance has set up and search for something like, oh, costumes. Again, rather than having to type in an account number and make sure that it's coded correctly, I just pick that category, fill in the total amount of how much I spent, and then from there, I'm all set. Now, it is at this point, though, that I am able to go and upload my receipt. And remember, as we talked about before, since I can access Financial Edge from my cell phone, if I wanted to just snap a picture from my camera roll, I can. But right now, I just pulled this from my documents. I can come in here, give it a quick name, tell finance that it's an invoice, and then keep in mind that my approver will be able to actually open up that receipt, double check that my totals make sense as they're looking it over. From the submitter perspective, I'm good to go. So I can come in here and I can go ahead and hit submit. Now, that's where I do want to highlight that I am getting a quick flag letting me know that I am going over budget. So that's just a nice control that's in place here. I'm going to move forward though, and what that will do is push it on for the approver. And so now I can keep track of all of my submitted requests, being able to see if something has been approved yet, if I'm still in the middle or process of coding something. And then when we think about that sort of next step, this is going to be again pushed on to that approver. I want to show you what that approver perspective looks like as well. And so I actually routed that same invoice over to myself. And now looking at my approvals queue, I see I have 6 pending invoice requests, so 1 more from earlier. If I dig into this here, I'm going to be able to see that $78 that I spent at Michael's. Here as the approver, I can look over and see what it's for. I can look at that purchase date. I can see who the purchase was made from. And I also can take a closer look at that general ledger coding. Now, what's nice about this step is that if I notice a mistake, I can come in here and I can change it myself, or I also could send this back to the original requester using the reject feature. When I reject a charge, I'm able to go ahead and include a reason, like maybe someone forgot to attach that receipt, or maybe this is just an unapproved transaction. Now, do keep in mind, we are able to review those receipts right here. I can open it up, take a look, and also on the back end side, we're going to be able to keep track of everyone's who's touching this request, from the person originally submitting to also all of the approvers as well. Now, at this point, if I were to go ahead and approve, it is going to push it on to either that next approver, or if I am the final approver, it's going to push it on for finance to then be able to do that final review. Now, it's not just these invoice requests that are built into expense management. I also mentioned at the beginning here the fact that we do have the ability to manage our credit card transactions too. The idea here is that we can actually link our credit card to Financial Edge. And what that will do is, as we're seeing over on the left-hand side, pull some of these transactions in from my credit card directly. That way, again, it's going to be able to speed up this coding and approval process. Y'all can see that I obviously frequent Publix and Domino's often. Well, anyway, you'll see that I'm able to go ahead and fill in again who I purchased this from, so I can list Publix. I can list what this was purchased for, so maybe I'm just going to say food for our party. And then again, I select that approval rule, can fill in my expense category, upload my receipt before pushing that on for that same sort of approval process we talked about before. All in all, as we've been discussing, expense management built into Financial Edge NXT is meant to be a seamless process for end users to come in, code things, submit their expenses, while working hand in hand with finance. The process itself is meant to be easy and intuitive, all while being cloud-based, meaning again, you truly have that anywhere access.